All right, so you have arrived at your destination, and now you want to do the full hookup with the power and pop it out and put the jacks down. So when you park, you need to put the emergency brake down, which is this little guy here. So you push that down. And just so you know, when you want to release the brake, there's a little handle. Where's the handle? Right here. And so that's how you release it. So anyways, you have to put the brake down, and you need to have the keys in the ignition, and it doesn't need to be on, but you need to have it like on enough to where like the lights and like the air blows and stuff. And only after you do these two things can you use the system that you'll need to pop out and do the jacks, the hydraulic system. So we're good to go. And first, you're going to want to pop it out. You want to pop it out before you do the jacks. So make sure that this area is clear. There's nothing like heavy. No one should be sitting on it. And then also, a lot of times stuff will be stored here that people forget about, and so you don't want anything in here because this is all about to shift this way. And so now, you just open this little cabinet and see this little slide control, and you're going to press downward that says out, and it should just go on out just like that. And you also want to make sure that you have enough space to pop it out. Make sure you're not parked really close to a tree or like another car. Go and check and make sure there's nothing just laying out that could potentially get in the way of this pop out, which I did not do just now. And it'll just keep on keeping on, and then all of a sudden it stops. So now you are popped out. So close that. And all right, so now that it's popped out, it's a little bit crooked, it's leaning to one side, which you can tell really easily because when you open this door, it just swings open. And even if you're not popped out, you might be on uneven surface. So for whatever reason you want to use the jack. So first, come out, make sure there's nothing under here that would be in the way. So there's 4 jacks. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So make sure, you try to be on as even pavement as possible, and then there's no like debris underneath them that would, affect being able to lower them efficiently. And so now you need to turn on the jack system. So once again, you can't do that without having the key in ignition and the emergency brake on. So if you see over here, you need to press on here, and that turns on the jack system. Now, there are 4 jacks, and you need to make sure all 4 of them are lowered, even if you really only need like one of them more. So we're going to start here with the front jacks. So you just hold it down, you'll hear it, and then when it hits the ground, you'll feel kind of a jolt. So now I know that I'm above ground because suddenly the RV started to raise up. And really, I am more interested in the rear jacks. So now we're going to do the rear jacks. Same thing, you'll hear it, and then it will touch the ground, and you'll just kind of feel the RV lifting a little bit, perhaps. And then, because the pop out is on the left side, it tends to be more heavy here, so you're gonna go on the left. And there's a little leveler here, but I think the best way to know if you're even is the door trick. So come into this door, shut it, and then if you open it, it's still swinging. So we're still a little bit on the left. So let's do the left a little bit more. And you can only do left or right in the rear. You can't in the front. So always just do the front first and then the back. And then whatever side is leaning, you'll push that jack more. So this might not be perfectly level, but I think it's good enough for me. See, the door's not, it's not swinging open. So I say we're good for now. And now that all that is set up, you can take the keys out and you're done with this for now. However, when it comes time, we'll cut that. All right, so now it's time to leave, and you're gonna do everything in the same order. So first you're gonna wanna pop it in, and then you will raise the jacks. So once again, have the key in the ignition, the emergency brake is down. So come over here, and just as easily as you popped it in or out, you're just gonna press this in button and make sure there's nothing on the floor, no like debris Sweep the floor in front of it before you pop it in, because it'll get all scratched up if there's like sand and dirt, and then you pop it in and kind of see where it's already kind of scratched up. And you're also gonna wanna, before you pop it in, go to the top of the RV, and if there's any leaves or even puddles of water sitting on the top of the pop out, you need to like kind of get those off with a broom, because then it could, there's nothing like stopping it from just coming inside the RV. So you popped it in, and now if so it's been a while, so now you're gonna once again turn on the jack system. So you know it's on when the green light is on, and you'll also know the jacks are down if the red light is on. So do not ever move the RV if this red light is on. Like, one of the worst things you can do is try to pull off in the RV while the jacks are still down. You'll ruin a very expensive system. And so with this, all you need to do to retract the jacks, they come out all at the same time. You just press this button, retract all jacks, boom, and you'll hear the RV start to kind of shift. And you want to go outside and you want to make sure they're actually retracting, because sometimes they can get stuck. So down here you see, so these all came up well. Let's go check in the back as well. And if it didn't retract all the way, you'll see a little bit of silver. So these are good, all these retracted. But if you were to see like some silver sticking out, then you'll know that it didn't retract. In which case, you would need to come to this compartment, and there's a shovel back there. I won't show you fully, but you'll get the shovel, and you'll kind of use it as one of those little mechanisms, and you'll have to just kind of make sure you just kind of manually retract the jack. Okay, so before you pop it out and do the jacks and everything, you should plug in the RV, because you might find that you're not close enough to the pedestal, or the hose isn't close enough to the sewer hookup, and you'll have to shift it around, in which case, if you've already popped it out and stuff, then that'll be really annoying. So first, before you do all that, hook everything up, hook up the power, and I'm just going to show you right now how to do the electrical. So right now, as you can see, the plug that powers the RV, this is connected to the generator. So we do not need the generator anymore. We're gonna hook up to shore power. So you're gonna pull this out, and I always store a converter here. So depending on what kind of hookup, you can either hook this up directly to the pedestal, or if you're using an extension cord like I am, you use this converter and you just put it on like that. And there's a little kind of a short hose here, so you might be able to reach your energy, your pedestal, but if not, then there's also an extension cord inside if you can't quite reach. And so now, I mean, it's easy enough. You just plug this in, and before you do this, make sure the AC unit is not on, because it'll just kind of overload the system. So once you get this in there, hear a little pop, and you should have power. And yeah, I mean, if you can just kind of leave it on the ground, or you might want to tuck it like underneath the RV if it's going to rain or something. But so now you have power, and now I'll show you to unplug it. It's the same thing. You want to turn off the systems on the inside. You unplug this like so. And if you're getting ready for a road trip and you need to, and you want to use the generator, then you'll take this little converter off. Always store it in this little compartment, and then you just plug this in, and then you'll be able to use the generator if you need it while you're underway, if it's working. And finally, you'll need this key to do any of these things. This little compartment here, there's a key right here. So there's several spares on the key ring. So all the keys are the same, and you'll need that to open it. And then when you're done, you'll want to lock it as well, so that when you're driving on the highway, it's not flapping open and breaking things. So you should be okay. So the hoses are stored in this department at the very back of the RV. I recommend Yeah, this side, it's really hard to open the other side. And it's on the side anyway. So, you grab this white hose, and there are two ways that you can do it. If you're just running it off of like any pedestal or any hose, one easy way to hook it up is you just put it in the holding tank or like the fresh water tank. And this thing's super janky. You have to like wiggle it around a little bit and then eventually it'll open. Actually might be. Alright, you can. So after lots of jiggling and whatnot, we were able to open it, so sometimes you just have to do that. So one way you can always easily fill it up is, you'll have this attached to whatever your water source is, and you can just put this, have it just sit in here, and that's going to fill the holding tank. So put on the hose, maybe don't put it on at full pressure, and then as it's filling up, you can walk to the inside here and you can look at the level of the fresh water. And if you're gonna be taking several showers, you'll probably want to fill it to full. But if you only need a little bit of water, so here's the fresh water. So as the hose fills up the tank, you'll see the red light show 1/2 will turn on and then 3/4. And definitely make sure you monitor it. Don't let it overfill, because if you just forget about the hose and it's running and then you fill it all the way up, then you could potentially crack the whole tank. So make sure just not to be distracted when you're filling up the holding tank. And then once it is full, you just take this out, and then as you use water, it'll either go to the gray water or the black water, and you can watch the levels. And I would not recommend filling this up again with water until you pump it out, because you could potentially overflow the gray water. All right, so now we are all hooked up. We have power, so you can go ahead and turn on the AC. You want to keep the AC always on auto, not on, because then it just blows continuously. But put this on cool, and then set it to whatever you want. Don't ever set it below 75 degrees. It needs to be 20 degrees cooler than where you are. But if you start, if it's like 105 degrees and you set it at 65, it's just gonna run it and then it'll just mess it up. So don't do that. Keep it on, between 75 and higher. And then, so that's how you do the AC. And then also, once you have water in the holding tank and the fresh tank, you're gonna wanna turn on the water pump if you're gonna use the water. So if you're gonna use the sink, you're gonna use the shower, the water won't actually come out of the faucet unless you turn on the pump. And you also want to turn on the water heater if you're gonna take a hot shower and you want hot water. I don't know, just turn one of those two on. And but then when you're not using them, just remember to turn them off. And that is how you do that.